Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Girls Gotta Talk podcast. This is episode 2. Before we begin, I'm just gonna say that I'm glad you can't hear any background noise because I live above a bar, and let me tell you, right now it's kind of going crazy. It is a Saturday night. So I'm not too surprised, but between like the people talking and like the music, it's not awful, but like I can hear it, So I'm just glad that's kind of tuned out for you guys. But anyways, I also have a combination of Old MacDonald and Baby Shark kind of stuck in my head. So that's a fun time. But anyways, welcome back to another episode of this rebranded podcast. Let's just get right into it. So intentions of this week is, so I've kind of been in like a big reading phase. I'm actually going to take this off the stand so I can like chill here. We're going to have a vibey, I don't know you want to call this. I've been in a reading phase lately and I've kind of really been enjoying it. I just finished, I read It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover like a while ago, but I had just finished reading It Starts With Us, 10/10, recommend if you haven't read it yet. I had also started a series, kind of like a true crime type feel. And I read the first book in the series, which was called A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Don't think I'm crazy, but it was a really good book. It was so good. And so I really wanted to read the second one. And I was very intrigued by reading the second one because in the second one, she starts a podcast. I honestly thought that was the greatest thing ever and really fitting for me. I've also heard that true crime podcast, I honestly don't know like who it's by, like who runs that podcast, was really good though. I haven't heard any episodes, but I kind of want to. I don't know. I'm into like true crime shows. So I feel like a podcast would be really cool. So I definitely want to check them out, but yeah, she like turned it. It was a good girl's guide to murder podcast. And she did like a whole new mystery in this book. Like each book is like one thing she's trying to figure out, like one little crime situation. So this one was another missing person. I don't want to give too much away if you haven't read it yet. I definitely recommend you go to read it. It's at Target. I definitely want to buy the third book to read that, but it's at Target. I don't want to give too much away, but she does another missing persons type situation and it was really good. And I loved the fact that like you kind of read like her interviews and it has like a little thing where it's like showing, I don't know, it's in a book, so it's like black and white little picture, but it has like uploading and all this stuff for like another podcast episode. I thought it was really cool. I loved it. So yeah, now I'm reading The Summer I Turned Pretty. I heard this, is it a series, a show? I don't exactly know what it is, but I heard it's really good and I heard the book was really good. So while I was at Target buying the second book to the, like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, the second book to that, honestly, I forget what it's called. It's like, I'm trying to think of what it was called, but I can't think of it. As I was getting that book anyways, I had picked up The Summer I Turned Pretty and I couldn't decide. Like I really wanted to read the sequel, but at the same time I really wanted to start this book and I couldn't decide which one to get. So naturally I got both. So I read the sequel first, which is good because when I finish a book, I like to have like the next book I want to read or another book I can read on deck just to kind of be able to jump right into books. Because like if I finish a book and I don't have another one that I can read or like go into, I feel like I start to go crazy. And for some reason, like I really need to go get one. I don't know why, but I do. So luckily I bought both. So I was able to finish the sequel and then jump right into this one. So far it has been so good. I use this app called Goodreads. Someone had told me about it and I downloaded it. It kind of lets you go through a list of books on there through like every type of category of books and mark which ones you want to read. Like it has kind of like a TBR type list that you can make on there. And you could also mark which one you're reading. There's also a thing I recently just found that lets you type in what page number you're on and it tells you like how much of the book you've read, which I've kind of been obsessed with this feature. I don't know why, but I was actually reading a little bit before I started this podcast or before I started this episode, recording wise. And I typed in the page number on the app before like I set all this stuff up and it says I'm 71% through the book. And I don't know why, that's just really exciting to me, but I think that's so much fun to like see and all that. But anyways, this was so kind of off topic. It kind of went way out of proportion. My intentions, where I was getting to when I mentioned all of this in the first place, was that I want to read at least 3 more books by the end of the year. It's September and I don't want to say I'm not the fastest reader. I know I'm not the fastest, but like I'm not the slowest. But at the same time, I don't necessarily always have the time to just sit there and read. Half the time I do, it's after I put our son to bed. But then like by then, like I'm trying to get into bed, but I also want to read. It's such like I never know what to do. So I end up reading and then it gets me really tired and I kind of like it because then I'm not scrolling through my phone before going to bed. Like I'm not doing all that screen time. Like I'm reading and then I'm going to bed. So it's kind of probably better and it definitely makes me tired. So I kind of sleep a little better. I've kind of noticed that last night. I read before bed. I mean, I went to bed a little later because of the fact that I was reading, but I slept really good and was really upset that I had to wake up early this morning to go to work, but I still slept really good. Like I said, I'm not doing so much screen time before bed, which I think is definitely a plus. But another thing on the Goodreads app, speaking of this, is that you can mark, like you can set a goal for yourself for how many books you wanted to read. I think I set like 10, thinking that was a pretty low number. And apparently it's really high for me because, like I said, we're in September and I've only read like 3 that I've marked on the app at least. I don't know if I've read any other ones. I don't think I have from what I've marked on the app. But this one will be my 4th, so I'll definitely have 4 out of the 10 done. I want to try to get at least 3 more done. I know I want to read the 3rd book to that series. I don't know what other ones I want to read. I definitely have a few Colleen Hoover ones that I know are good, I've heard are good, that I really want to get into. But yeah, we're going to try to read at least 3 more. That's my goal. That's my plan. My other intention, per usual, is to just plan everything. I've actually sat down and planned like 4 or 5 different podcast episodes. I'm so extremely excited and so proud of myself. So proud of myself that I've actually like took the time to sit down and plan these. But yeah, those are my intentions of this week. Streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, anywhere you stream your podcast, or on YouTube, Girls Gotta Talk Podcast. The name should be changed everywhere by now. I'm trying to think of all the platforms. I think I've been on everywhere. Hopefully. I know there's a couple. I know like Spotify. I think Spotify changed. Apple Pod, I don't know. I think there's one place I haven't changed because I haven't figured out how. I need Julian's help to change it over. I just can't think of where that is right now. But everywhere else should be changed. The only platform that's kind of giving me a hard time is Instagram for some reason, because if you go on Instagram, all the what's it called? Oh my God, I just blanked. All the socials are down below in the description of this. And if you go on there, it says Girls Gotta Talk Pod, I think it was called, is like the handle. But if you go on my actual like profile I think I got rid of it. Before it kept saying Alyssa and Julian podcast, and it wouldn't let me change the name because it says you can't change it X amount of times in a 2-week time frame. And I'm like, I never changed the name of this Instagram, but whatever. I think Julian finally got it deleted, so now there's just not a name, and I'll deal with that later. But the handle itself has changed from Alyssa and Julian podcast to Girls Gotta Talk pod, like Girls Gotta Talk, all lowercase _pod. I'm pretty sure is what the handle is. Like I said, all the social media stuff is in the description below if you want to go check any of them out. But yeah. So to get into today's topic, I feel like that intention took way longer than I thought it was going to this week, but that was a fun time. The episode the topic of this episode I wanted to talk about was productivity. I kind of actually did some research going into this episode just to kind of research some stuff, maybe have some statistics or something. I didn't really find statistics, but I found a couple quotes that I am going to read, and we're going to have a little talk, a good time about productivity. So the first thing, I have my handy dandy notebook. The first thing I found that I wanted to start off with was productivity can be defined as the amount of productive work accomplished within a specific time frame. I tried to just Google right off the bat, like, what defines productivity or what does productivity mean or something like that. And I kept finding answers that like I really didn't understand. And I was like, I'm not going to try to sit here and say this as an answer if I literally don't understand it myself. I also was confused by this because it uses the word productivity and productive in the same sentence. I don't know. Is that just me or does that sound weird? I don't know if that's a thing. Anyways, yeah, I tried to just find like a basic explanation of what productivity is, and for some reason like I couldn't find one. Like everything was weird, and then they were talking about like 3 different types of productivity, and I'm like, I didn't even know there were 3 different types of productivity. I don't even remember what they were. So I was really confused. So I found a couple things, and then I was like, what? And then I was just getting confused, and I was like, you know what? I'm over this. I'm going to stop Googling it, and we're going to have a little conversation anyways. The first thing I'm going to say about productivity is different for everybody. Not everyone does the same thing to feel productive, if that makes sense. I know for me, being productive is just, I don't even know, like obviously getting things done, but the time frame of when I get things done normally doesn't bother me, where I feel like that's a lot of people's biggest issue is that they feel they have to get things done in a certain amount of time. Like granted, what I just said is amount of productive work accomplished within a specific time frame. I think the biggest thing is if you do set time frames for yourself or tell yourself you need to get X, Y, and Z done during a certain time, that's what stresses you out the most. And then I feel even though you are doing work, you're getting things done. If you don't get everything you said to yourself, like you either thought to yourself or wrote down, done, that you weren't productive. And I feel like that's not the case. If you mentioned 4 or 5 things on your list and was like, okay, I need this done by X amount of time during the day or by this time before I have to go to this class or work or something, and you only get like 2 things done, maybe even 3, people are like, oh my God, I wasn't as productive as I could have been because I didn't get everything done. Honestly, even 2 out of the 5 that you got done, you're still crossing some things off your list. So I would personally say you were still being productive. You still used your time wisely, because my thought process is even though you only got 2 or like I said, even 3 things done out of the 4 or 5 list thing that you had, you might not have gotten everything you wanted to get done, but the time and effort that you put into what you did get done, I'd say was done pretty well. You could have rushed through and like half the work. You could have just been like, okay, well, I'm just going to do this just to get it done. I feel I wouldn't feel as good getting that done in that time as I would putting in my good time and effort in having these things done either the right way or completely like feeling really good about the end work when I finish something rather than rushing and just crossing everything just to cross it off a list. Yes, it's really nice to be able to cross things off a to-do list or like a list in general, but how you feel about what you get done afterwards, I feel like is also really what matters, because if you don't feel 100% or like you did your best work, like, I don't know, I just feel like if you finish a task or you finish things on your to-do list, like you want to feel good about the end product of what you just worked on. Like you want it to be your best work or you want it to look really good. Say you cleaned your room, but like you didn't throw things under your bed or just throw things in the closet. Like you actually folded everything and hung everything up and swept and all this stuff. It'll make you feel so much better rather than, okay, I need to get this done really quick so I can finish all the other stuff. Let me just push this in here and push this and close the door and make it look like it looks better when really it's not 100%. I don't know. I feel like I said, it's different for everybody. So some people might feel like it's still really good and they got a lot done and they finished everything, but to each their own. It's really depending on the person and who you are and how you feel getting things done, if that makes sense. So I Googled how to improve productivity because sometimes I kind of struggle with this. I like want to do things and I want to be productive, but I can't get myself to like get going. I feel like that's my biggest problem is like get going, because I feel like once I get going on certain things, you just like I start to get into like a little groove and I'm like, yeah, let's get everything done. A lot of times I feel, especially with like cleaning, I watch a lot of like cleaning videos sound weird, but like if you go on YouTube and a lot of people do like a clean with me or get ready with me and they're like cleaning and prepping and all this stuff, those kind of videos is what gets me into like my groove. I know there's certain videos that I just really like and all of a sudden I like find myself cleaning or I'm like doing dishes and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I want to keep going. So I'm like wiping the counter, cleaning the stove, cleaning the bathroom. Like when I know when I start cleaning the bathroom, like wiping the counter fully, cleaning the mirror, cleaning the toilet, like sweeping, I know I'm in a groove because cleaning the bathroom isn't awful for me. I really don't mind it because I like the way it looks and I like being in a clean bathroom or having a clean bathroom if people come over. But I'm not necessarily going to sit there and like wipe the mirror every time and make sure that's like spotless. I don't know, just when I know I'm in there and I'm like spraying Windex or something on the mirror, like we're in a groove. Like do not interrupt. At that point I should have like a do not disturb button on me or like a sign. And if you see me, like literally don't talk to me. Don't have me doing anything else, because if I stop this, it's a wrap. Like once I stop and I'm either having to sit or do something, it's over. It's over. Whatever motivation, whatever groove I was in, it's probably now gone. But in the meantime, it was great work. Great work. So the top 2 answers that I found and I really liked for this answer or for this question or statement, I don't even know what this is, was keep things simple. That's probably one of the biggest things that I do is I definitely keep to-do lists simple, but when I'm not making a to-do list during the day and I know I just need to get a few things done, I keep it very simple because then I'm not as stressed. I'm not as stressed to be like, oh my God, I have these huge tasks that I need to get done. I have this huge, I don't know, assignment that I need to get done. I have to do all of this before this time span. How am I going to do it all? Keep it simple, and I guarantee you'll probably get the work you need to get done on top of more, and you won't even realize that you're doing as much as you're doing until you either have to go or I don't know, you crossed everything off your list, but you realized you did 3 more things before you even finished your list. I don't know. Simple is like simplicity. Simplicity is so nice, especially when it comes to tasks, I think. Like making to-do lists and having little, like, such simple things. Like putting make your bed on your to-do list is something probably so stupid, but it's something so simple that when you do it, you feel better because your bed is made. It makes your room look nicer. And at the same time, you feel like you're still getting good things done because you're able to cross it off your list. Like it's a win-win. It really is a win-win if you think about it. And if you keep things like that on your list, like I said, you cross off more. So you feel like you're doing a lot more, which just mentally makes you feel a lot better. I don't know. I think it sounds good. I love this. I like to keep things simple myself. So when I saw this, I was like, this. And also, I feel like this was kind of a shot to myself. But the second thing I found was set reminders. If you know me, you know I have a little peanut brain. I forget things very easily. I have very, very, very short-term memory. It's a little ridiculous. If I think of something in the moment, like I have to do it or I have to write it down or I'm not even kidding, 30 seconds later, I will forget. I set reminders all the time. I'll set the dumbest reminders on my phone. Like sometimes it comes up and I'm like, oh, like I'm glad I set that. And then sometimes stuff comes up and I'm like, why do I have this as a reminder? But it's because I will forget. But at the same time, my brain is so like, I swear, if there's something smaller than a peanut, like what's smaller than a peanut? I don't know what's smaller than a peanut, but whatever it is, that's my brain. I literally had a reminder on my phone the other day because I made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to bring for lunch to like snack on at lunchtime, and I was going to eat. I have a bag of goldfish in my purse for my son, but I was like, he has like 3 bags at home and I have one on my purse, like for the on the go type of situation. I was going to bring a sandwich and snack on some goldfish and maybe like buy like a drink, like a soda or iced tea or something. And that was just going to be like my simple little lunch that'll hold me over till I got home. I literally set a reminder on my phone to bring it, like to get it out of the fridge, put it in my bag and like bring it to work, to put it at the fridge, like in the fridge at work. And I forgot. Like I set a reminder on my phone and still forgot. I feel like that doesn't happen to anyone else. I feel like that's literally just me. I'm kind of embarrassed to say that, but it is what it is. We'll be very transparent on this podcast. You'll probably notice that in the future and other episodes. Literally set a reminder and I forgot. So, but other reminders do come in clutch because I'll set some, like I said, when I think of it and then I forget and then the reminder goes off and I'm like, wow, I'm glad I set that because I wouldn't have thought to do this at this time. So like sometimes I like pat myself on the back and I'm like, good job, Alyssa. Like you did a great thing for your future self. Another thing I want to say, a lot of people think that if they're not doing anything, they're not being productive. No, rest is productive. You need to rest to be productive. Like you need to rest to function properly and do things efficiently. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh my God, if I'm not moving, if I'm not doing anything, I'm not being productive. I could be doing this, this, and this, but instead I'm sitting on the couch or I'm taking the time like me, like to read a book or to just scroll through social media. Like granted, you probably you don't want to be scrolling through social media as much, but sometimes you just need it. Like sometimes you just need that mental break. Just like, even if it's 5-10 minutes, it could be honestly a whole day. It could be a week. Like ruts happen, you get into them sometimes very easily. And if you know ruts are so hard to get out of. Like they're one of the hardest things to try to get out of. So I don't know. I personally think that rest is productive because you're resting your brain. The next day you'll be much more excited to do things. You'll be much more ready to do things. You'll feel fully rested, which will get you a lot more like energy. So you probably get a lot more done than you think or than you wanted to, which is really nice. You'll honestly start to enjoy the little rest that you get. Naps, I feel, are pretty good. My naps probably aren't the best. Those are like the ones you take for like an hour. Yeah, not good. I've actually taken the ones where they like advise you to take, like the 20-minute naps. They sound dumb, but they've honestly kind of helped a lot. You get a little bit of energy afterwards. I know I have. I'm more of like I just fall asleep, and whenever I wake up, that's my nap. It could be an hour. It could be 3 hours. It could be 45 minutes. I don't know. But I have done some where I'm like, okay, I'm going to lay down, wake me up in like 10, 15 minutes. Not that I want to get up afterwards. Like part of me just really wants to go back to bed. But when I do get up and we do a lot of work, or I have to do, I don't know, editing, or I have to do cleaning, or I have to do, I don't know, something, I feel energy. Like I feel like I have a good amount of energy, which makes me really excited because I don't know, I love it. Like I love the fact that I actually feel good and I got myself to do the things I have to do a lot more easier because I had the rest. My brain needed it. My body needed it. Listen to your body. Definitely listen to your body. You don't want to push yourself too much. So if your body's saying you need to rest, don't think that you have too much to do and you're not, like you can't rest because you have so much to get done. That's definitely not a good thing, but I don't know. I also Googled how to increase your work productivity. I'm kind of just going to share my thoughts on some of the things that popped up because I think some of them are interesting and some of them are kind of like a conversational piece. Like not everyone is going to think the same on these, but like I said in the beginning, productivity is different for everybody. But the first thing I have is focus on one task at a time. I think this is kind of important. I definitely have to do this because, like I said, I have whatever smaller than a peanut brain. And like I can focus on multiple things. It just depends on how big each thing is. Like if one's like super important and definitely needs like my full attention, I can't focus on like much more, maybe one other thing, but definitely not like 2 or 3. I think if you focus on one thing at a time, you get that task done easier sometimes and also better. You definitely are giving it your 100% attention, 110% effort. And that's one of the things where if you finish, you feel good about the way it came out, like the end task, the end goal. I don't know. It also depends, I feel, on what you're doing because I feel like there's some things that kind of coincide with one another, that if you're doing one thing, you could be doing this and this at the same time because they all kind of blend together. Like you could kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But like I said, that also kind of depends on the task you're working on. The next thing is take regular breaks. Like I just said, 100% agree with this. I think that if your body is telling you that you need a break, that you should take a break. I'm not saying you need to like be done for the day at like 2 p.m. Even if like, you go through like a little midday slump, then take a break during that slump when you start to get energy back or when you start to feel like you want to start to do work again or want to work on something again, to get up and like start doing it. Don't double guess it because you don't want to like miss your chance for like the groove you're about to get, But yeah, I think regular breaks are important. I think they help you a lot. I know I definitely go through a midday slump. I feel like there's people who know like a certain time frame of when their body starts to like shut down. They get tired like during the evening, and then at certain time during the night, they like start to get more energy. I haven't realized what time I start to slow down and start to get a little slump, but I know sometimes I do. And I think like if I have like another coffee or like an energy drink, it'll get me going. Caffeine honestly has stopped doing things for me, which probably isn't a good thing. That probably just means I've had too much in my life, but I just always think it's what's going to help. So sometimes I do. Sometimes I just rest, and that's when I take like my 20-minute nap, or I just chill on the couch and watch a few YouTube videos, and then I'm like, okay, I need to get back up. I'm going to start to do this. But again, everyone is different. It also depends on how your body is talking to you. And like I said, I definitely agree to listen to your body and do what it needs. So that way you also don't get to like the run down, burnt out feeling, because that's definitely not a place we want to get to. That's never a good place. This one I thought was interesting because, okay, I'm just going to tell you what it is. It's focus on your biggest task first. This one I thought was very controversial because I feel like a lot of people think to get their biggest task done first will make them feel better. They'll get the biggest thing out of the way, and then it makes the rest of your day easier or like lighter feel almost, because now you just have all the little like either less work feeling type task or like really small, like I said, make your bed type situation tasks. I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on this because I feel like getting your biggest task done first is that you get the biggest thing out of the way. You can start early and like get done kind of early. And then, like I said, you have a really easy rest of your day. It's just all the little things. Maybe it's the smaller tasks that you actually like to do or like really want to do, but you just wanted to get that one other bigger task done. But at the same time, I feel like sometimes this also might just depend on the day and how I'm feeling now that I'm thinking about it. But I feel like sometimes I need to do actually the smaller tasks first, because doing those smaller tasks kind of gets me in the, what I was talking about earlier with like the groove of things. So when I start doing one little task and then I do like the next one and I'm doing like little things, even if it's, like I said, the first bullet, one task at a time, you're doing one task and then the next one and then the next one. You're kind of putting yourself in a groove, and then it'll make like you're already set in the mindset of, okay, I have to get this done. I'm going to keep going. I feel good. I want to get this stuff done today. So after you finish all of the smaller tasks that were on your list, and then you move, like you're going into what you have left is the bigger task, I feel like you're at the point where you're just like, I'm ready to do this. Like you got yourself motivated to sit there and do whatever that big task is. I don't know. Like I'm trying to like pick a side in my head of what side I think I'm on more. And I'm kind of just 50-50. Like most of the time I feel like I do the smaller ones first because I have to get myself in the groove and the mindset to like keep going and like knock things off my to-do list, and just starting with the little tasks and like crossing more and more off my to-do list just starts to make me feel really good. Like I feel like I'm being productive. I'm getting a lot done. And then next thing you know, you just have that one task left, and that's all you have to work on. That's all you have to focus on during the day. But I do also agree that doing the biggest task first is better sometimes. I don't know. I think it just depends on the day. Depends on your mood. I guess that's another like to each their own situation, which I figured everything in this episode would be, because I just feel like I keep going back to this thing, but every productivity is different for everybody. So I wish I had someone with me in this episode to like have a little conversation with, but I'm kind of just having one with myself. I wish you guys could like talk through this camera, or like, I don't know, through like a headphone or something. If I could just be like, so what do you think? And like just hear all your guys' answers. But the next one, this is actually the last one I have on this list, is time block your schedule. This one kind of honestly rubs me the wrong way. I don't like the thought of time blocking, because that's when I start to feel stressed. I start to feel more stressed knowing that I have X amount of time blocked off to do X amount of things, because then I'm either going to start thinking, oh my God, I have so much to do during this thing, I'm not going to get it done. And then it's just going to stress me out because I'm still going to have more work to do like later on when I should have been working on like other things. But now I'm like, oh my God, I have so much more work and all of this is going to get pushed back, which is going to make this push back, which like then I'll have to finish it tomorrow. But tomorrow I had blah, blah, blah planned or wanted to do blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know. The thought of time blocking, unless you actually fully sit there and plan it out, like, okay, I have an hour and I know I have to do 5 things, but I'm just going to write 3. That'll just make me get this done, even though I have more to do. And whatever makes you feel better and like not as stressed, I say go for it. I give you props. I wish I could do that, but I don't think time blocking my schedule personally is like would be good for me. I've never tried it, I don't think, but just the thought of it kind of stresses me out. So I wouldn't want to sit there and write it on paper, because I feel like once I write it on paper and I'm actually staring at it, especially all day during the day to see like what I need to get done and if my time frame's coming up, I don't know, just the thought of it really stresses me out. I personally probably wouldn't do this. I think I just need to write a list and kind of get done whatever I can get done in my own time. Because that's also the thing with me. I feel like a lot of people put things on a to-do list and think they have to get everything done in order to be productive or like be managing their time really well. I kind of disagree with that. Putting things on a list never stressed me out on I need to get all of this done. I kind of just make a list because it's more so, I guess, a personal reason of if I don't put this on my list, I know I'm going to forget to do it or forget that I have to do it. So I have to sit there and think of literally everything so that it's all out on paper. I can see it all. That way I can't get mad at myself later when I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to put that on, or oh my God, I needed to do that, I totally forgot. Going back to my smaller than a peanut sized brain, I need to write everything down. I need to try to remember everything if I can. It's really hard sometimes, but if I can. So I think to myself that this is just what I know needs to get done. If I don't get everything done, it's fine. I have whatever time I have to get it done, but at least like I just see it all. And then if I start to think of something else, maybe if I'm doing one thing and I'm like, oh, this is reminding me I could do this or I should do this, I'll write it down. But in the meantime, like all my tasks are written. So whatever I want to do, I don't have to go down the list item by item. I can go up here. Maybe you do the first thing, then you do the 5th thing on your list, then you do the 2nd thing, then you're doing the 7th thing on your list. Like I don't think you actually have to go one by one down the list to get everything done, as long as it all gets done, if that makes sense. I feel like that's a very conversational, is that the word I wanted to use? I don't know. That sounded weird when I said it. But that's a big thing for people because people like to be organized and they need to go one by one down and they need to do this and then this. And then if they don't all get it done, they're like, oh my God, I wasted my day. I couldn't get everything done. What did I do wrong? I don't know. I don't think like that. I kind of happy I don't think like that. I can't explain how or give like tips on how to kind of think or work that way. I just kind of, like I said, write everything down, do what I have to do what I can do without pushing myself, because that's also when you start to stress. But everything still kind of gets done, maybe. I can't promise that everything on my to-do list always gets done. I definitely had a to-do list the other day, and I think I only crossed like one thing off the day I made it, and I was like, okay, well, that might have been a bit of a failure, but it's a start. Baby steps. Baby steps are still steps in the right direction. That's what I always like to say, and that's what I always like to think to myself. Take to-do lists as the biggest thing for that. You might not be able to get everything done, but even if you crossed off anything, You could have crossed off, like I said, one thing like I did on that list. Baby steps are still steps in the right direction. You're still in the direction of getting what you need to get done. Might not take you the time you thought it was going to take you, but you're still going to get it done. And at the end, you get it done. It's a win. I don't know. I don't like the thought of like pressuring yourself to get everything done, or like I said, time framing yourself to get everything done. Personally, I just feel more stressed, but if you can do it, major props to you. But with that being said, that's all I have for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. I want to hear your reactions to everything in the comments. I'd like to know how you think, either if you think the same as me on certain things or if you think differently. I'd love to hear why, or like your thought process. I feel like that's really fun to hear how other people think about productivity, because I feel like it's such a big topic. But with that being said, that is the end of episode 2. I thank you guys so much for joining this podcast. I love you guys. Thank you for sticking around. If you're from the old one, hello. If you're new to this, if this is the first podcast you're seeing me on, welcome. I'm hoping you guys are having fun, but I love you guys. I'll see you next week back with a brand new episode. Bye.